I feel very inspired by art. The interface between art and architecture is two sides of the same thing. We're sometimes creating objects and sometimes we're creating spaces. Dubai has become a test bed for different ideas, different ways of doing things, and I think that is fascinating. My name is Janos Rostock. I'm an architect, urban designer and master planner. When I arrived here, Dubai was a very new place and there was a lot of buildings coming up. And many of those buildings were trying to compete with each other. There's more cohesion now, and that's by design. I think having different cultures allow you to be innovative in a completely different way. I very much think that architecture and landscape has to work hand in hand. The difference between inside and outside needs to be seamless.
Designing open spaces, you always have to put people first. You've got to think about which type of people are going to be using that space and how they'll be using it. But now we've seen the pandemic come, I think people's understanding of the benefits that they get from landscape has increased massively. Time spent outdoors is good for their well-being and their mental health.
For me, spaces is where we interact as human beings. The building sits in its landscape and the two supplement each other, they shouldn't contrast each other. In that sense, I think the Dubai Opera was quite unique. We designed the building and built it in around 3.5 years. It's inspired by the Arabic dhow. Its overall shape, the shape of the auditorium, the shape of the glass enclosure for the lobby. It's a vessel that has brought prosperity in many different cultures to Dubai. Creating performing arts buildings is special in the sense that your journey starts when you leave home. The people coming to Dubai Opera become the performers, and they create the life of the district.
It's really important as a landscape architect that we have a sustainable mantra in all of our work. A great example of this was the project we've worked on in the design district called The Block. And when we arrived on the site, we had around 1,500 concrete keystone blocks. And each of these blocks is around 30 tons of concrete. It was left on site because it was a remnant of the building of the Dubai Canal. The more concrete blocks we could put into the park, the more sustainable it would be because we're reducing the amount that was sent to landfill. And it's really exciting because since it's been completed, we've seen many different activities taking place. And it's really humbling to see that the park has been taken on and given a new lease of life. Dubai has a really interesting and eclectic mix of spaces and the places that you are naturally inclined to go to. Visiting the Old Town is a huge source of inspiration for me because you can see the way they've used certain materials in really exciting ways. And although we don't use those materials today, what it tells us is how do we look at the materials that we do have and use those in new and innovative, sustainable ways.
It's really important that we do this in a sensitive way. We're so closely interlinked as human beings and the buildings that we occupy. So the buildings are there to create the frame around life and are able to respond to the needs of the present as well as the needs of the future.